Primary education as a human rights. I am standing here today to defend our primary education as a human rights. The regarding question is, why primary education is a human right? And why should everyone have the right to education? Let me tell you that education takes on the status of human right because it can enhance human dignity through knowledge. Like what Jose Rizal said, student proves youth are the hope of this country. But through this day, students of this youth nowadays are involved through drugs and robbery instead of them learning in school. So that leads to lack of knowledge. If so, they never realize on what's wrong or what's right. They have the lack of guidance as well. So let me tell you how will our country will develop if the main problem is we are surrounded by children who has the lack of knowledge. Because of it, it will be the reason of them to not get or provide a proper job in the future. They will also not be able to provide to pay their taxes. So it's important to provide the government to have free education for all of us so that they will have the chance to study again without being able to pay. Because not all families can provide the money on their children's education. Primary education is the most fundamental form of education. It is a right of every child and it's the responsibility of the state and parents to ensure that every child is provided with a satisfactory level of education. Every child should have the opportunity of complete a full course of education because education is one of the way to exceed in our daily life and to be proud of true in what we are learning. Because of this, we can grab the opportunity for us to share our strength and talents. We are able to encounter the opportunities on what we can do. Therefore, there are cases that tend to discriminate other people because of the lack of knowledge and learning. There is a big effect to the children and adults that won't be able to study, so that can lead to lack of self-confidence because they felt burdened. According to the advocates for human rights organization, everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Article 26. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to be strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among nations. Racial or religious group. Article 26 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. This is one of the stories that experienced discrimination through education. Her name is Rahima Akhtar. Her Rohingya identity to enroll at a private university in Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar. But her dreams of pursuing higher education were dashed after she was suspended by her university earlier this month. The 20-year-old from Katupalong refugee camp has become the face of the struggle of Rohingya refugees who want to study, as Bangladesh does not allow Rohingya to enroll in school or colleges. Last year, October, many years ago, she was featured in a video story by the Associated Press in which she talked about being a Rohingya and her dream to study human rights so she could raise her voice for her persecuted community. Nearly a year after it was published, the video went viral, after which she was expelled from Cox's Bazar International University, where she was studying law. She said, "I was in college when the video started showing up on people's phone. Suddenly, everyone was asking me, 'Are you Rohingya?' Some people started a negative campaign, saying I should be sent back. After, after told Al Jazeera over the phone, I was hiding my identity only so I could study. I feel guilty, but I did not have an option. Is getting an education a crime?" she asked. "It's fundamental human right. I have learned that being Rohingya is not my fault." She has been in hiding at her aunt's house in Cox's Bazar, worried about her safety since her identity was revealed. When she was 12 years old, Akhtar's father tried to stop her from going to school and wanted to marry her off instead, she said. She pleaded with him to let her study and he relented. Akhtar was born and raised in Bangladesh, Her parents fled in 1992 during the mass exodus of Rohingya refugees from Myanmar. She is one of 33,000 registered refugees in the country. Rohingya children are only allowed to study in non-formal primary school in refugee camps. Some Rohingya families obtain for documents for their children to study in Bangladesh educational institutions. For years, schools and colleges in Bangladesh admitted the students without causing a furor. That started to change from January 2019, as Bangladeshi authorities began to track down and expel Rohingya refugee students, according to a report by the Human Rights Watch. In April this year, in April last year, Bangladesh distinguishes between registered Rohingya refugees and those who arrived since August 2017, whom it refers to as forcibly displaced Myanmar nationals. More than 700,000 Rohingya fled Myanmar in August 2017 after the military launched a bloody crackdown on the community that had long been stripped of their citizens and other basic rights. Under national law, Bangladesh has obligation to provide access to education to all children on its territory without discrimination, regardless of their refugee status, said Bill Vance Esveld, Associate Director of Children's Rights at HRW. Al Jazeera reached out to government officials in Dhaka but could not get a response. Mahbub Alam Talukdar, the Refugee Relief and Repatriation Commissioner, refused to comment. "I'm not in a position to comment. We are observing the situation," he told Al Jazeera. Analyzes number justice for crimes against the advocacy to provide free education in any kind of school, because there are some schools that have expensive tuition fee. This is one of my examples of having trouble to the expenses in school. Some of students work as a part-timer as a crew of some fast food chain, so they could have enough money to provide their needs at school. Because not all of the children grew up in privileged family. If there is a chance that education will be free, there is a higher percentage that they will have a normal and contented life through their family because they can avoid their expenses. Zig Ziglar said, "If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you."